Hello, everybody. This is Mindenségit Podcast, and we are sitting here on World Adaptation Forum 2025 with Mr. Ugo Bardi. Ugo is Professor Emeritus at the University of Florence. He is a full member of the Executive Committee of the Club of Rome. He does research in ecosystemic trends, climate change, resource depletion, energy circulation, and system dynamics modeling, to put it briefly. Was I good?
Yes, it's perfectly fine. A bit too many things, but
Well,
but it's okay.
Thank you. I would like to ask of you, I know it's a little bit of a vague question, but what would you say is the biggest challenge for human civilization at this moment of time?
It's a very interesting question, and I would like to have the answer, but I'm afraid it's a bit of a difficult question because it is the world as we know it is a complicated thing. It's very big. There are many factors interacting, and it is one of those systems that we call complex systems. It's a definition. It's not just complicated. It is complex. Complex is something that is recognized in some fields of physics, of chemistry, of ecology, and other fields of science. It is recognized as a kind of system which is dominated by interactions among the parts, which means that you cannot really predict what the system will do when you touch it, you move it, you press it, you compress it, or you try to expand it. It will do things that you don't expect. Now, the whole system we're discussing about, humankind, the ecosystem, the economic system, the political systems, and everything involved in these many factors are interacting in so many ways, and the system is moving a trajectory which we can more or less define, sometimes predict. Sometimes we are completely surprised about it. And as long as the system is moderately stable, as it has been up to more or less now during the past 50 years, you mentioned the Club of Rome, of which I am a member. The Club of Rome is an organization which tries to understand the way the world evolves, to suggest paths which would lead to a better world as much as possible. And we started this, I was not there, but in 1972. I was there, but I was very young. And with the famous report, which is known more or less everywhere, like the limits to growth. And at that time, it was reasonably possible to predict what the kind of trajectory the world would follow, and unbelievably, it has worked. It is more or less, we don't expect to make predictions. We are not oracles, we are not prophets, but system science, once you have the system, and you understand the interactions about the various elements of the system, you can, within limits, predict where we're going. And that's where the challenge is, that you caused me. What is the challenge now? The system has gone where it was directed. It was like a train. It was moving on tracks. You could not stop it. We are at some kind now of different, we can take different directions. And that's the challenge. The big challenge, to take the right direction. It's an enormous challenge because I think Tolstoy never said this, but there are many ways to take the wrong decision, to make the wrong, but only one way usually to make the right one. And this is very, very difficult because we have to manage a series of factors which were known already 50 years ago. Population growth, resource depletion, pollution, agricultural degradation. And an extra one, which is now coming up very rapidly, technology. Technology changes everything in ways that you cannot even imagine. So now we have to add to all this artificial intelligence, precision fermentation, and electric cars, renewable energy, and all this is a mix of things which is truly explosive. And but you turn on the TV and you see that the system is exploding. And we try to do our best to understand what's happening, but it is not easy. But the important thing, is to understand, try to manage, and try to be kind if we can.
Yeah, I think.
Which is not easy.
But also, you cannot emphasize this enough, and I'm thankful for you saying this kindness. I imagine that it is extremely hard to hit the ball at the very only good, like microsecond at the very best angle. So to find that very one way, which is good. But if we already know that there are so many ways we are failing at, why can't we make more effort as humanity to avoid those ways, or, repair them as best as we can? We seem to be doing the same mistakes over and over again. Why is that?
Yes, there are many wrong ways to go, I think. One is to make war on each other, which is, of course, worsening things very much. But the big challenge now is to manage the transition to a different world, because, things are happening that never happened before in the history of humankind. It's unbelievable if you think that we have 5,000 years of written history, and this 5,000 years humankind has always been growing, except some moments of decline and wars and accidents and catastrophes and all what you had. But now we are going through a peak. We've been climbing a hill, 8 billion people, more than 8 billion people on this planet. Now we're going over the hill, and we are going down. That's unavoidable. And all the projections we have, the models, the statistical models, the dynamic models, the many kinds of models that can be used, but every model you have tells you that before the end of the century, before the end of the century, we are going to see this enormous transition, and we're going down population. And we will go down in consumption because there will be less people to consume and less resources to consume. And we will keep going up in pollution. That will take time before we can abate it. And I'm curious about that, because nobody knows how we will manage that. But, I am optimistic. I think we have a chance that we never had before.
It's funny because it seems that, as in some of your presentations, you explain the Seneca graph to the listeners. So it seems, at least to me, it seems that whatever we do now, that's going to happen. If we continue doing the same shit we're doing every day, every second of every day, every week, every month, every year, the destruction, the selfishness and narcissism we are really good at as humans.
It is unavoidable in a sense. You see the universe as a pulse. Mm-hmm. It pulsates. You can make models that tell you the system is never stable. It is a system in flux that moves all, and then you see that it goes up and it goes down, and when it goes down, for them compared to the lifespan of a human being, it looks to you like this is a great disaster, and then God knows what's going to happen. We're all going to die, and then we do something to invent something to. It is okay. It is normal. The universe goes up and down in ways which is not cyclical. It's not cyclical. The universe is moving all the time. There's no cycle. It goes up and down, and you see there is I try to understand this thing, but I find sometimes that our ancestors were already facing this idea, and they thought about that. And that you mentioned the Seneca effect. Seneca was a Roman philosopher living during the first century of our era. And he was seeing the same problems which we're seeing now. He was saying, you see, that the empire, Roman Empire, so big, so successful, so glorious, such a powerful empire with the legions, the soldiers, the fortresses, the walls, and everything. And then he was seeing now Seneca said, something is not right. And the kind of philosophy that was popular at the time was Stoicism. Stoicism was the Stoics, already existed. They had this idea, which I think is very modern. You have to understand that the universe moves in a certain way. You have to follow. You cannot force the universe to do what you want it to do. And if you do that, if you try to force it, you usually do worse. So you have to accept what happens to you. You have to understand. Seneca and the Stoics were all concerned about personal virtue. They would say, everything can happen around me, but if I am virtuous, I will always be happy, which I'm not sure it is so easy to follow. He wrote that, and that was the Stoic idea. Then Stoicism gave rise to Christianity, came after. Christianity was building up very much on Stoicism, but on a different point. I don't have to be, it's not my virtue. The only point is the way I behave toward the others. I have to be a good person. And then again, in this way, you can follow the oscillations up and down, and you don't have to think that you can change the world alone, or by technology, or by action, or by political changes, revolution and things. They don't usually improve things.
But don't you think it's hard to accept this if we think about that this is the only place in the universe where, as far as we know, life exists as we know it? If I have this in my mind, it's hard to be stoic about the things that we might be facing, or about our capability of destroying our habitat. Don't you think we should try harder to be a little bit better, to preserve life on this damn planet?
Well, we have a personal view. We are alive now, and so we have a time span of a few decades, if you're lucky. And then we can think about the future, a much longer time span, of what will happen to humankind, and if humankind will survive, because there are perfectly good possibilities that the perturbation that we are making to the ecosystem will be so strong that it will wipe out humans altogether. It is possible. It is not something you can rule out. Why not? And I've been thinking about that. It's a personal way, because we will not see our own extinction. We can, by definition, it is impossible. And so, but we can think, so what happens if humans go extinct? Have you ever thought about that? Mm-hmm. Yeah, how long will the planet continue to host life? Have you ever thought about that?
Yeah.
About 1 billion years. We still have 1 billion years to go. In 1 billion years, a lot of things can happen. And the system will continue to change, to evolve. And I think for a few 100 million years, we're still going to a higher degree of complexity. So we have the possibility, before the system, eventually the whole system will crash, because the Earth will not survive more than 1 billion and a half years, which is a long time. But you wonder about what's going to happen. And I think even if we go extinct, we still have plenty of time for new creatures which will appear in our place and play the role that we played, and maybe do better than us. But this is a very philosophical consideration, which I understand it is a little bit remote from our everyday worries. We think how we can survive our in our lives, our children, our descendants. We want them to survive as much as we can. So I think we have to work for that. Some people seem to like the idea of human extinction. Didn't you notice that? But I don't. I would like humans to survive. And, I think that we have a chance. We have a chance to do something way better than we did before. There is one point I try to tell you. You see, humans have been considered for the past 5,000 years or so, mostly for their economic value. You were worth something in terms of money. You're a slave, you could be a miner, you could be a peasant, you could be a scribe, but you had a certain value for what you could produce, okay? And once you have a value, that means that you will be exploited. Mm-hmm. Like we exploit the things that we value, we exploit. So if humans have been mistreated, tortured, killed, sanctioned, shackled, and beaten and enslaved in all possible way because they have a value. They had. And I think we have a chance now to go beyond that. The population is going down, will start going down soon. It means that, and at the same time, we have this possibility of replacing many of the works that humans do. Like, this artificial intelligence is a big revolution. It's changing a lot of things. It started like a joke, but now you discover you're dealing with creatures which are at the same level as you are. No kidding. You speak to things we know better than you in many fields, and that's something new that happens. There is a Sumerian line of 5,000 years ago. Sumer wrote something happened that had never happened before, when bread was baked in the land for the first time. I think it's one of the most beautiful sentences ever written in the history of humankind. You think the first time the bread was baked. And then some people say, what's happening? This is new. This never happened before. Like now you can turn on your computer and speak with a creature which is not human as if it were human. It never happened before in the world. So I think we have a chance to value humans for what they are, not for what they can produce. And it is the first time in history, I think, that we have this chance. If we miss it, it will be a disaster. But I think there is a chance that we will not.
Thanks.
You think it's enough? Okay.
Yes. Unfortunately, I would go on for 3 hours if it were up to me.
Yeah, it's okay. Don't worry. Thank you for your interest. It was a pleasure. And
thank you, Ugo.
And
thank you very much.
Okay.